Okay, gonna call the special meeting to order for the Selectboard.
Now call the special meeting to order for the trustees.
Okay, consideration of any changes, additions, removals to the agenda.
We add under 4, we do need a brief executive session per
Okay.
personnel. It will take 30 seconds
Okay.
or so.
Status update on emergency response to July 10th flooding event.
So the reason we're here, obviously, this has been a long few days in response to what happened, Monday morning through where we stand right now. The town is in a tough spot, and I think that we're reacting to it as best we can. Peter's not here because he had a call the fire department was out on, but I just want to take a minute and recognize the group that's here is one of the few and some of the individuals that are part of our emergency management team. We're not doing this without them. Their response to this as a group has been tremendous. And from 2 o'clock in the morning on Monday morning through where we are now has been top notch. This has been a situation that is tough to deal with, and you kind of have to read and react. So that is a tough, I think, I can't thank them enough. Again, as we all know, I'm the new kid on the block here, 3 months. I lean on these guys.
Let's not make it a habit.
Let's not make it a habit, but lean on these guys for information, advice, direction. I have the title, but the dirty work gets done there. So I thank you to them. I thank you to the boards. I've been in contact with all the board members, and it's your trust and guidance goes a long way in situations like that. So kind of getting into where we stand, we've had active emergency management department meetings 2 to 3 times a day since Monday morning, dealing with situations as they arise. Obviously, the first consideration goes out when you have a situation, when you start considering evacuations, and the situation was changing minute. I mean, everyone was in it, and we changed minute by minute, so things changed on the fly. And, assessing, the first step was we assessed consideration of loss of life, where people were, and how we could get to them. In that immediate, we had to get out, we had swift water teams that were activated, that were in town. We're able to get through that. And the second, after the water, that was an event, as everybody knows. We looked at, it started at early Monday morning. Pond Street seemed like it might be the worst case. It wasn't good, but there was other things, so we were kind of like, okay. 2 o'clock hit, water started to go down, and then it went back up, about 4 o'clock. We were standing on Main Street, and that water started coming down Pond Street. It was frightening. And to that effect, I'll say, the dams all did what they were supposed to do. I had conversations with Chief, with Ron. We looked at the Okemo snowmaking pond, and obviously that, we all know, before this event, this town, we had preached, we have to look at these dams. We all know there's a $50 million project with these dams, so having that concern, knowing the amount of water these were taking, it was frightening, and we did our best to get that notice out there that these dams are doing what they were doing. I used the analogy, I said, in Ludlow, with a situation like this, saying that there's an issue with the dams is like yelling shark on Cape Cod right now. That's the reality of it. But those dams did what they were supposed to do, and we can be thankful for that. They hit some of the spillways. Why this water came down into the village at that point and really did what it did, I don't think anybody has an answer as to why that happened like that, whether something let loose or it was just the amount of water that picked up between that time frame. But obviously that really hit us substantially. To give just a brief scope of the damage, you can see it in the village, what we had happen. Obviously, the wastewater treatment facility is gone. That's completely offline right now. We've had engineers in first thing this morning, looking at it, trying to get the flow back to the plant, get electrical online so we can start disinfecting, go for there, Vermont Water, Rural Waters in town. So that is one of our top priorities right now. Drinking water in the village. There was a water leak that they established that was at the plant, that was off of the line that was going in on the 12-inch line that was coming in from Main Street, then a 2-inch that was going to the plant. That broke, which was the concern of why we were losing water yesterday. That was taken care of pretty early in the morning, Ron. Yeah, so that was, tanks started to rise. Why we're under a boil water notice is much like the rest of the state, that we did lose water. It was a catastrophic event, so anytime there's something like that, you want to err on the side of caution with the water. That being said, we lost, what, a pound of pressure, if that, in the system. So the system never lost pressure. So the concern over the drinking water is not, it's more of a precautionary time. They're testing it, so we'll keep people up to date on that. But again, as in terms of damage and infrastructure, kind of making the circles out. Angela's been monitoring road situations with Ron and Chief and Stephanie, trying to find where people are, what they need, and how we can get there. I would think that, as of we met this morning, I think we're in a pretty good spot in terms of reaching people who need something. In these types of situations, communication and getting that out any way possible is really the best way to do it. I think we've done a very good job of that in letting people know where to go, what we have, where you are, and how can we get to you. So in terms of vulnerable population, I think we're in a pretty good spot right now. And that's, again, a tribute to these guys. Stephanie had an ambulance crew stationed in Proctorsville for how long? Stephanie, that was?
They came back last night.
Yep, so handling that side of the river, we had strong considerations, things that you don't think about, is that for a time there, we were completely isolated. Thank God we did not have a severe medical emergency because we were isolated from a hospital. We did have a landing zone identified up at the pit, one of the parking lots at Okemo, if that was the case. Thank God it wasn't. So, again, infrastructure is what it is right now. We're monitoring, getting to things. We are able to get in and out of town now. Most places are semi-accessible. I think we have some of the bones of it nailed down pretty well. Have been on the phone with the state of Vermont, the SEOC, which obviously FEMA will be involved with this at some point. The helicopters over top are no doubt, they're outlining where they are. They have to meet certain state and federal thresholds for a national disaster to be activated, which no doubt it will. So it falls on us to basically document everything. Everything has to be a quote-unquote temporary fix at this point. Anything over $250,000 for a repair has to go out to bid. So we can fix things on a temporary basis now, figure out where things are, then we get that process. But everything from contractors to every time we pick up a shovel has to be documented, and that's what we have asked for help from regional planning as well regarding FEMA documentation, because that is 2 jobs in and of itself. I was not in the municipality when Irene happened. I've heard horror stories from Cavendish as well, that part of it. But we have a strong group that unfortunately has been here before. I mean, there are a number of people in here that have been here, unfortunately, 12 years ago. So I'm not going to keep everybody here for too long. So that's, I guess, kind of for resources for people. We have there is a pop-up Shaw's right now, essentially for people in dire need at the PD. We are working to have inventory brought in because at this point Shaw's is inoperable downtown. How long that's going to be, I don't think we really know.
They piled some people in the last probably 3 hours.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
I mean,
good.
they're cleaning house in a hurry there. right
Yeah,
now.
I saw, so hopefully that won't be a pop-up, a tent in the parking lot like it was.
Yeah.
I mean, people who are needing shelter, food, we had the community center emergency shelter was activated at probably 5 o'clock on Monday morning. So that was open, we probably ran through, we had meals, people were there, people slept there. Some of the evacuation people that went there, the gentleman that was stuck in the tree down by the timber inn, I don't know if you saw that, he was evacuated out with the Swift Water team. He was there, so we did have that. We ran them in and out of there, did a great job at the community center with staff. And I'll kind of, and dovetailing back to that, I just want to say, because there's a lot of people that, I'm not going to go through the list right now, but people in this town stepped up, for our staff that stepped up in ways that I can't say enough about, just stepped outside of, there was no, that's not my job description. That's not what you're paying. Doing things from running a makeshift shelter here to helping people at the community center. That whether it was someone in water or sewer, zoning, building and grounds, they were doing things that went above and beyond the call of duty. So, and we'll talk about that later. But anyone who needs shelter, showers, food, they go to Calcutta's. They have overnight. They're staffed. Food's there. So Troy Caruso he worked with Kevin and Chief to just move. I think we had 3 people at the community center. 2 left. And they're move some cots. So that is, and again, it's good because it's staffed. So that's the brief update. Any questions for you guys? I asked the EMD team to be here for questions.
I have a couple of them. I know they do a great job. They always do. They always have. I grew up with a lot of them. They do a great job. But I want you to put you on that list too, because I've heard from many people how you're out there in it every day.
That's part of it.
So you're part of that same crew, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
The other question I have is, I have a lot of homeowners that want to donate money. I need an email or someplace for them to.
That is in the works right now, is that I am trying to, and it's something that I will probably present. We're going to do this a few times with it. I would like to set up, I've had people ask GoFundMe, that stuff kind of, the GoFundMe kind of makes me nervous a little bit because how it's controlled.
Right.
But I also talking with Carol Lighthall from the Chamber, they are working on something that's also in cooperation with the Rotary.
Okay.
So that kind of a fund, and whether this is going to be a Ludlow disaster relief fund, that's where that's going to happen, because we have a lot of people that are, and I've been telling people, and I don't want to, it officially will come out, if people want to send money, we will accept it here, and then we can give it to the appropriate people. I just don't have that. Carol, they were meeting today, so I'll have that number of where that can go, and then I just want to have all the, who distributes it, so people know if they're giving $100, who's in charge and what it's for. And they'll have a website with all that, so that's going to be done.
Okay.
I have one. Has anybody communicated with the people out at Rubley Lane?
We have, we brought him a truckload of food and supplies yesterday. All the essentials you have, we got food from Calcutta's, numerous dishes.
Because
They're
they're
all-
using Doug Road.
Yeah,
They're
all
moving the
set.
barricades.
Yeah, they're all, we're hopefully gonna be getting Doug Road.
I'm hoping, but I'm not making any promises.
So, yeah.
I just,
Not today, definitely tomorrow.
yeah,
So they've got
I'm
plenty
just
of-
saying they're moving the barricade and they're,
Yeah.
okay.
One more, and this might be for Stephanie, I don't. Numerous people have asked me about medication, and this may have nothing to do with us. They may have to go to, but we have 2 drugstores in town that are closed.
We have heard from, God, probably at least 10 different people in town that they are out of their prescriptions. So we've done trips, we've had volunteers go up to Rutland to pick up prescriptions. We have one that we were planning on hiking in this afternoon, but the road's gonna be open in about a couple of hours, at least for walking. So we're hoping. So we have their medications in town. We're working with another family and monitoring their conditions as well because we can't get their medications and transporting them to the hospital as needed. But if anyone needs prescription medications, we can facilitate getting them. We do have volunteers that are willing to go up to a pharmacy in Rutland if we can get them transferred.
Perfect.
And I don't know, I was down in the marketplace this morning, just checking with some of the property owners down there, and the damage to the pharmacy, in Ludlow Pharmacy, did not seem to be all that extensive. I know,
We did just try to
Yeah.
go down there to pick up some prescriptions that were already filled,
Yeah.
and they couldn't access them because the mud got into a lock or something. They can't get into it.
okay, so
So the
it's,
pharmacist here, I think, is working with the Springfield one to try to get things settled down there. But if there's specific people and they're running out in the next couple of days, they can call up to the non-emergency number and we can start working on that.
Perfect.
only other few things while I'm thinking, and if we have more questions, the transfer station will be open tomorrow. That will be open 7 days a week for the foreseeable future. I guess there's one, this one may tie into our next, well, I'll bring it up on our next one, but yes, the transfer station will be open tomorrow. Patty will be that way. We contemplated it today, but there wasn't the staff to open it. There would only been one person there, so we're gonna open it tomorrow, and that will be open for the foreseeable future.
And she brought in more containers. I mean, there's gonna be
Yeah.
there's
so-
gonna be some stuff.
We'll circle back with Patty. I'm sure, I have no doubt that she has been, I talked with her briefly. She was headed to a personal emergency this morning. But she said she was on top of it. I guess the one, and I'll address it now, the question is that if the board is all right with me discussing with Patty, I know that it came up, and during Irene, if we are going to, for the time being, waive the fees, I mean, I don't feel like we should be charging someone to get rid of a refrigerator that might have shown up from Weston, that just was in their yard. So, I mean, obviously, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but there's
Fine with it.
I mean, that's gonna be, obviously, it'll be discretionary, because we're not gonna be,
I'd rather have it there than somewhere else. I'm fine with that.
I don't wanna pick it up on the side of the road.
And
Yeah.
that's just what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Just what's gonna happen if we don't.
yeah, so, okay.
Anything else? Okay, action regarding purchasing policy as related to the emergency response.
So our purchasing policy basically dictates that any purchases over $5,000 need to go out to bid. But we do have a emergency clause that states this emergency clause can be activated during emergency situations where normal procurement procedures would be impractical, which I think would be now. That gives myself the authority, or the acting manager and department heads, to make that determination on basically things to be purchased. And the board and myself will be notified of anything over $500,000, or $5,000.
$5,000.
Yeah.
I'm not that-
$5,000.
I could get very excited here.
You got a lot of staff, you got a lot of staff.
They're very excited. So, yeah.
That retirement looked good, didn't it?
Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah, right, you gonna tear that up now? So, $5,000, the board will be made of.
What's the limit?
There is not a limit, obviously. I mean, it will be
Yeah.
I'll keep track of it, and obviously 90% of this will be reimbursable from FEMA.
Yeah, I
but-
mean, you know what you gotta follow for things. and it-
Exactly, and, obviously, but I'll use an example, Gia Farm Road needs to be put back in place and needs to be done correctly. It can't be a temporary fix to pick it back up, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. And we'll deal down the road, but we wanna it doesn't make sense to put a 4-foot culvert in there compact it correctly, and then dig it back up to put it back in. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So as long as you guys are all right with activating that clause, it doesn't say we need a motion, but it just says that that's, if you guys are good, we're gonna do that.
Good.
I'm good.
We're good. Good. Okay, anything else?
Unless anyone has any.
We just need that executive.
No more rain, huh?
Oh, don't look good.
Yeah, we'll see. I heard an inch.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
I think a lot of residents are obviously concerned about water and sewer and other issues. Just wondering what the process is, if we can get a little more information put on the town website. There's a huge group, social media is usually not a great spot, but it's actually working well to help people out, but I think a lot of other folks aren't connected there. They go to the town website.
So there is.
Maybe a link to the emergency management center or something?
As of today, Diane and put up, there's a section, we kind of cleared the website a little bit, so there is a direct information tab, we'll call it, right on the front of the website, that is going to have information that's directly linked to Angela's emergency management page as well. It does have, Diane put on a date and time when that was last updated, so people have up-to-date information. There are some other things in play right now that are good, that Ludlow could be a pilot program for some emergency road closure and notifications at the state level, which could would be kind of cool, but,
Just what the folks.
so something like that. So yes, website, go there, direct link to where it needs to go.
And there are cases of bottled water being handed out.
Correct, and we have, I know that more water is definitely on the way.
So do we have a boil
Yeah.
effect for the foreseeable future, or do we have a time?
I'm gonna say right now, for the foreseeable future, in talking with Joe this morning, they were running tests. There, again, precautionary, there doesn't seem to be any indication that there's anything wrong with the water. So, everything, they were running tests and should have them back shortly, and that's lifted, but we didn't put it in place, the state did.
Yeah.
So once they get as happy as they are, and talking with Dana Nagy from State Drinking Water yesterday, he wasn't that concerned about it, but it's more of a precautionary because of the amount of damage.
Need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, everyone.
I'll second. Ayes have it.